Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for not giving my mom, my late father's inheritance? My 29 female dad passed away a few years ago. Both me and my sister were left his estate and his will when he passed. Our dad changed his will a couple of years before he passed away, removing our mom from it. Our parents were separated and in the middle of divorce proceedings when he died. My mom had an affair, which resulted in the breakdown of their marriage about 10 years ago. Subsequently, it caused a lot of heartbreak, arguments and hostility, not just between themselves, but also for me and my sister towards our mom. This has somewhat resolved as the years passed. My sister was amicable with mom. For me, our relationship was pretty much back to normal. I struggled with hating on others, and find it easier to resolve the issue and carry on. My dad confided in me some of the details of the divorce, most of which I would have rather not known, but he had no one else to speak with regarding it, I suppose. Basically, it did not paint my mom in the best light, and honestly, the actions and behaviors I observed her displaying following their separation tallied up to this. Unreasonable demands made with regards to finances, and basically wanting to take most of my dad's pension. Following his death, when his will was read to us, we then discovered my mom had been written out of his will. Our mom is wanting to take legal proceedings against us. If we decide not to give her over half of the money he has left to us, she wants us to discuss via mediation. Our extended family, who know some details about this issue, appear divided as to what we do. Both myself and my sister believe she should not receive any of this money, however I feel guilty. But on the other hand, her actions since his death and her apparent greed repulses me. I feel torn and worried that I am being an a-hole, as I don't feel we should have to give her any of his estate. Now for the top comments. 1. Your dad knew who he wanted to give the money to. 2. Your mom decided not to be with your dad. No takebacks. Sorry you have to deal with an unreasonable mom, but at least if she cuts off contact over this, it's not much of a loss. Not the a-hole. OP, please don't feel guilty. Your mom is an adult. She made her adult choices and she and your father were separated. Your dad made his last wishes known. Honor them guilt-free. Feel free to talk to a lawyer. Tell him exactly and everything that has transpired, and include what your father told you. Good luck. Don't give in to your mom, that betrayed you just as much as your mom did your dad. Not the a-hole. Your dad wrote her out and it sounds like for good reason. I say lawyer up. Considering the divorce isn't final but was started, you're on shaky legal grounds for her to claim marital assets, etc. What I find even crazy is that the mom is ready to sue her sons/daughters. It's not like she's fighting the new woman or something like that. She's going after her own kids. Insane. Going to refuse judgment, but say if their marriage still existed on paper, get thee to a lawyer, pronto. Many states have spousal allowance, which means she may very well be entitled to half. In that kind of situation, I'd seriously consider offering your mom a negotiated settlement of any money. Though, lawyer up first. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my late father's wife to leave me the F alone? My father cheated on my mother when I was 12 years old and married the other woman. He tried to continue his relationship with me, but I told them both that they sucked and would not be nice for them, so they needed to let me stay with my mom. I actually met her before my mom or I found out about the affair, because he used to drop by her house on the way home from school when he would pick me up, and once or twice she came out to say hi. My father died when I was 17 years old. I did not go to his funeral. I'm 19 now and his wife reached out, because she had 2 kids with my father and was hoping I had stopped hating them enough to be part of their family. I told her no, and to leave me the F alone. She did not take my response well, and told me I was selfish and heartless to reject the family my father left me with. I told her he was disgusting for involving me in his affair in the first place, and she was equally disgusting to accept it and expect me to treat her like part of my family. My aunt, who I was still close with up until recently, said that she gets me being mad before, but the kids were innocent in it all and deserved to have a relationship with me, and that I was harsh to the woman who wasn't responsible for any of the issues, that it was all on my father, and he's dead and should be forgiven. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Her kids don't even want relationship with you. Why would they? You're a perfect stranger. They don't give a rat's a. The woman is just being a jack A and trying to either grab sympathy where she can, or find a free babysitter. Say no. She can screw off. The affair partner, if willing, is equally as crappy as the cheater. Oh wow, yeah, I hadn't thought about the fact that the kids are 7 at the oldest. Babysitting could definitely be a motivation here. Not the a-hole at all, and your aunt is wrong. First, they didn't ask to see you, she did. Second, you haven't been in their life so far, so they aren't missing anything or something. And most importantly, you get to decide who's in your life, even if it hurts other people's feelings. And don't even get me started on, it was all your father's fault, and, he's dead so his wrongs don't matter anymore. Those two are really just BS. So not the a-hole on all fronts. OP is innocent in all this too. Why does she want him to be part of her family, when she took his family from him? I hate when people hold children to a higher standard than adults and expect them to be the bigger person. Stop listening to your aunt. Is she your late father's sister? She's trying to rewrite history and force this fairy tale on you. The idea that you must forgive the actions of dead people, just because they are dead, is ridiculous. If she wants to have a relationship with her nieces/nephews, that's her choice. But she doesn't get to decide who you have in your life. Yeah, she's my father's sister. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my stepmom be buried with my dad? When I, 24 male, was very young, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. He survived but it was very close, and my mum bought a 3-person burial site in our local cemetery just in case he died, so that one day we could be buried together. About 5 years after his cancer scare, my mum died in an accident at work. Pretty much immediately after, my stepmom came into the picture. It was pretty clear from the get-go that she was only interested in dad because of mom's life insurance, plus the accidental death payout. She had 2 kids from prior marriages, dad was her third. My dad was devastated from losing mom, and I think he just saw my stepmom as an easy person to comfort him. I absolutely do not blame him for the crap she put me through. My preteen and teen years sucked because of her. I was continuously bullied by her kids and her. I wasn't allowed to join sports teams or socialize after school. If I wasn't studying then I was cleaning, and if I protested, then I would go without meals. My dad died about 8 years after mom did, and my stepmom immediately kicked me out. I was only 15 at the time. There was a huge fight over my dad's assets because he left almost everything to me. Long story short, she has just died. Her children have approached me, and asked that she be buried next to dad and mom. I have refused. They're now lambasting me all over social media and to mutual friends, accusing me of being mean, and that she was dad's wife and should be buried next to him. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She made it clear by kicking you out as a child, that you are not her family. Why should she be buried next to yours? Also, the people asking are the stepmom's kids who are crappy to OP, they don't get to waltz into OP's life after all that and issue ultimatums. They can F right off. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. That's your plot. They have no right to demand it, and should have no expectation you would give it to a woman who kicked you out as a 15-year-old orphan. My guess is, they just don't want to buy their mother a plot. Yeah, leeching runs in the family apparently. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. That is a family plot allocated prior to their marriage. Had he any intention of being buried with her, your dad would have taken the means to do so. Ignore them, block them, whatever. You have done nothing wrong. It's not her resting place. Even Cinderella's stepmother didn't kick her out of the house. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry for everything you went through growing up. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting my stepmom at my biological mom's funeral? My 43 male mom recently passed away after a long fight with cancer. Her death has affected my sisters, brothers and I enormously, and it's so hard to be together in the same house without her now. When I was a teenager, my parents divorced, and my father remarried this woman. She was absolutely terrible to me in ways that I will not go into detail about, things that my dad has no idea about, and was an utter cow to my mom, who tried her best to be cordial, but my stepmom belittled and insulted her at every chance. My mom would fire back and they would start fighting. My family recently gathered over Skype to discuss the funeral arrangements. At one point, my father said something about my stepmom bringing a certain type of flowers, and one of my sisters interrupted him, saying that, apparently, they'd talked about it and agreed that my stepmom would not be coming, which neither myself nor my other siblings knew about. One of my brothers asked about what they were talking about, but my father didn't answer him directly, and instead told the same sister that it was cruel to not let his wife be there, both for him and her. It was starting to develop into an argument, and I jumped in and said that I didn't want her there either, because our mom wouldn't have wanted her there. She also makes me uncomfortable, but I didn't want them to know that. My father is very upset now, and won't answer any calls /texts. I don't really know what to think. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Funerals aren't for the dead, they're really for the living, to be able to grieve in as much peace as they can, surrounded by folks who love and support the people left behind. This woman doesn't love you and doesn't support you and certainly didn't either for your mother. She doesn't belong there. Yes. And honestly, the father lost his chance to voice funeral arrangements/invites when he and the mum split up. He should be grateful to be included, not stooking over the stepmother's attendance. Not the a-hole. Funerals are supposed to honor the dead and comfort the living. Having your stepmom there accomplishes neither. Heck, I think I'd just invite dad too. I agree, OP. And on another note, it's definitely time to tell your dad about how his precious wife treated his child. Why haven't you told him? He should know, maybe he would feel differently about this situation. Not the a-hole, it's a funeral and it's for the living who remember and loved your mother. It's not an opportunity for your stepmother to show off and pretend she actually ever gave a crap about her. And for that matter, since your dad did not bother to make sure that his current wife was not being cruel to his first wife and mother of his children, he doesn't really need to be there either. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my wife when she gave my dad my address without my consent? I, 25 mil, lost my mother to cancer when I was 13 years old. I had a hard time healing from this devastating loss, and my dad was already getting remarried. It was too much to deal with, and ended up dealing with major issues including unresolved grief, that I carried with me for a long time. My dad kicked me out when I was 16, because my stepmom couldn't and didn't want to deal with children that weren't hers, and I still remember her words clearly till this very day. I went to live with my mom's side of the family, but I was struggling a lot. I was in the hospital for a heart condition, and my dad knew but never attempted to visit me and take me home. I was done after that. I decided I no longer have a dad, and I was lucky I had people in my life who supported me and helped me through those rough times. I work in software engineering. I married my wife 8 months ago, I have my own place and I'm doing okay financially. I found out recently that my dad attempted to contact me through one of my friends, but I refused to see him. I only spoke with him once to tell him that I had no intentions in allowing him back into my life, and that I wasn't ready to forgive him after everything he put me through. I have a heart condition and this much stress isn't good for me. I made it clear to my wife that my dad should never get my address or any contact information. She tried to talk me into letting him come a few times, but I refused to discuss it because even when I told her everything that he did, only I can understand and feel the hurt he caused me. 2 days ago, I found out that my wife was talking to him and gave him my address so he could visit. I was so mad, I couldn't help but yell at her for going behind my back and giving him my address, but she tried to explain that she thought this was the right thing to do, since I was clearly being resentful and bitter towards my dad. She also said my dad has been contacting her for days, and pressured her into giving him the address. I was livid, I couldn't handle the idea of having to deal with him, and he never even apologized and blamed my stepmom for everything he did. I knew he probably wants something from me, otherwise he wouldn't have insisted. I got into an argument with my wife and she went to her family. Now she's giving me the silent treatment and wanting me to apologize for yelling, but this is a huge deal for me and I feel awful. I really expected her to understand and respect my wish, but she's making it look like I'm the one at fault here and being bitter and resentful. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, that's a massive betrayal of your trust on your wife's part, and her refusal to talk to you is childish. She's enabled him to stalk you, and I can't imagine how you feel knowing that someone like your dad could show up at your house at any time of day. It was your decision to go no contact, and your wife should have understood and respected you, your experiences, and decision, instead of going behind your back. Do not apologize to someone who's made deliberate choices to hurt you and then turn around and act like a victim. I divorce her. NTA and NTA. You don't have to go into detail, so you don't get upset, might be best in email or text. Tell her, I was abused, abandoned, and he didn't care I was close to death. The fact that you were pressuring me to spend time with my abuser, is like me asking you to spend time with someone who violated you. You have broken our wedding vows of in sickness and in health, by jeopardizing my health by introducing extraneous stress. I apologize for yelling, but do not apologize for my anger as I have every right to be angry and hurt. I would never put you through the pain you have reintroduced into my life. I deserve an apology, and a promise that this will never happen again, and if he contacts you, he will be told he lost the right to talk to me the day he abandoned me. Do not take this lightly. She does not get to decide what is best for you in such a serious matter. You would not demand she cut contact with her family, so she cannot decide you have to have contact with your family. Oof. Not the a-hole, OP, but I think this might be something to work out in couples therapy. My guess is, she likely was charmed by your dad into seeing his side, and has a touch of the but family viewpoint. She is the a-hole, but my guess is she didn't fully understand what she was doing. You can apologize for yelling while still saying that she did something unforgivable. And if you really can't forgive her, and that's something I'd say figure out in individual therapy, then hopefully a divorce is simple after such a short marriage. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.